Some big changes to the stimulus package. Let's get into it and discuss all of the new details. But really quickly, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and I am here for you each and every day, bringing you all the latest updates as well as talking through other very important information that you certainly need to know during this time, as information is changing very rapidly. So again, thanks so much, subscribe down below, and let's get into all of the new details on the stimulus package. So now that Congress is back in session, they have been meeting to talk through all of the details on this package, as they still want to get this thing done by the end of next week. Well, as we know, this package originally started out at $3.5 trillion, and they've been going back and forth saying, well, this guy is at this much, these people are at that much, and we've had a spread all over the board with anywhere between about $2 trillion in difference. Well, as of yesterday evening, we have now confirmed that they are right around that $2 trillion range, and they have come off of the $3 trillion to 3.5. So the new range is right around $2 trillion. In fact, yesterday evening, Pramila Jayapal, who is the leader of the Progressive Party in the House of Representatives, emerged from a meeting and confirmed the new range is between $1.9 and $2.2 trillion. In fact, just earlier in the day, in a meeting, President Biden confirmed that the package would be about $1.75 to $1.9 trillion. So again, kind of right around that $2 trillion range. So this is the new price tag on the bill. You might be wondering, okay, well, what got chopped? Yep, we have some new information as to what has been removed from the stimulus package. And yes, some provisions have been removed and some things have been substantially reduced. So remember that provision about 2 years of free college for basically anybody who wants it? Remember that one? Like, you could go back to college, I could go back to college, anybody could go back to college if we wanted to at a community college. Remember that one? Well, sorry, it's not happening anymore. So they have completely removed that provision out of the bill. So free tuition for community colleges is no longer in there. That is completely cut out. Now remember, they also wanted to extend the child tax credit. These are these monthly payments that are going out to nearly 40 million families right now, getting anywhere between $250 and $300 per month per child. Well, originally they wanted to extend that for 4 more years. Well, they've actually shaved that down, and it's only going to be for 1 more year now. So that actually shaves it down quite a bit. So between these couple provisions alone, this is a couple $100 billion that they've taken out of the package. In addition to that, they also had $400 billion allocated for caregivers and seniors and elderly care, things like this. Again, you've probably heard about this. And that unfortunately has been shaved down by $150 billion down to $250 billion. So these are some of the major cuts that have come out of this thing so far, and I'm sure there probably will be more to come, as they are still somewhat apart right now, as Joe Manchin, who is one of the moderates, is still sitting at $1.5 trillion, and we know that they're sitting at, the rest of the party, I should say, the progressives, the president, they're still sitting around that $2 trillion mark, which we're apart by about $500 billion, which is just so coincidentally enough to send out some pretty nice stimulus checks if they just so wanted to do so, right? So that would actually be enough to send out a couple stimulus checks, but that's just, a different story. But these are some of the massive changes that have come out of this package. Now, Chuck Schumer was out yesterday as well, saying that he wants the framework on all of this by the end of the week. Well, we're already halfway through the week, right? So as many of us know, the first half of the week generally goes kind of slow, right? In our own minds, of course, time goes the same regardless of what day of the week it is. But generally the second half of the week tends to go very, very fast, and it kind of slips away, and then the weekend is upon us, and then sure enough, there we sit again. So my point is, now that we only have half the week left, they have a lot of work ahead of them, considering they've done, some things throughout the first half of the week, but Chuck Schumer wants the framework on this by the end of this week, therefore setting it up for potentially voting next week? Wait, what? Yeah, so we could potentially be looking at this. So considering how much progress they've made on this stimulus package literally over the last 24 to 36 hours or so, it's actually been somewhat substantial. So they may actually be able to reach their deadline of getting this thing passed by the end of October. Again, I'm not going to lean either way toward this. I'm not going to say it's a for sure thing, and I'm not going to say it's not, because here's the thing. We've seen so many delays with them over the last year and a half that we're at the point now where even if they say this is an arbitrary deadline and we're going to get this thing passed, I always feel like, well, we'll believe it when we see it kind of thing, right? And I think many of you here are probably in that same situation. But these are some of the more of the provisions that are going on out there right now in the stimulus package. These are a few of the things that have been chopped out of it. And I do know that this did happen yesterday. However, I wanted to bring you that very important information on Social Security. So, as I've said in all my videos, I'm dedicated to bringing you information as it's being released. However, as I got that information on Social Security, I thought, you know what? This is actually way more important than talking about the latest stimulus package update, right? So that's why I said in my video yesterday that I actually have an update on stimulus for you, but we're going to talk about Social Security instead, because I feel like that's probably going to impact everybody here on the channel way more significantly than just a one-off stimulus package, right? So Social Security changes and reform would actually be something that would be permanent and or very long-term versus stimulus packages and things like this. We know it's just kind of a short-term thing, right? It's they come through, they pass them, and then they're pretty much, kind of forgotten about a short time later. So that's kind of the deal with stimulus. And anyway, that's why I'm bringing you this information and the updates now, because we had those important updates on Social Security earlier. So by the way, if you haven't seen that video on Social Security, I would highly recommend going back and watching my video from just a few hours ago, my last video that I uploaded, simply because there's some really good stuff in there on Social Security, some major changes that are going to be introduced this week in Congress by Congressman John Larson in regards to this new Social Security changes and reform. And one more thing, I love this line, which is why I don't want to bring it up again, but basically they're saying that Congress has failed seniors and that Social Security needs to be enhanced. So I just love that, because I think so many of us could not agree more that Social Security and certainly needs to be reformed and also needs to be enhanced. And yes, I think all of us can probably agree, Congress has pretty much forgotten about this massive segment of our population, right? About 70 to 80 million beneficiaries. So anyway, we've got a lot of stuff going on out there. As I mentioned to you just the other day, this is going to be a very busy week, and we're already starting to see that. We're only a couple days, well, we're halfway through the week, let's be fair. We're halfway through the week so far, and we've already seen some pretty big changes. So I would anticipate between now and the end of the week, we're probably going to be getting a lot more big changes and a lot more big updates, simply because Chuck Schumer, he wants the framework on this. If they're going to get the framework on this, that means they need to get back to the drawing board and they need to negotiate even more on these packages. But either way, we do know this is the latest updates as of right now. So we are officially at a price tag and officially the price tag, price range of around, I'm going to say probably, well, considering what the president said, let's just give it a range now of about 1.75 to 2.2 trillion. That's kind of pretty much the wide range that we're seeing now, confirmed and mentioned by the president, as well as Pramila Jayapal, who is the leader of the Progressive Party. And then, of course, we do have Joe Manchin at 1.5, but we'll have to see. Either everybody's going to come down to him, or he's going to have to bump it up, or we'll meet somewhere in the middle around the 1.75. We'll have to see on that, right? But anyway, yep, some pretty good stuff right here. So it's nice to see that they're actually coming together, making some changes here. Oh, one more quick note. I want to mention this as well. Medicare expansion, that is still in the bill. There was no changes, no touching on the Medicare expansion. So if you're somebody who is a Medicare beneficiary and you have Medicare coverage, it looks like there's no changes to the Medicare. So that is a good thing, because we know how they love to mess around with anything that impacts seniors, elderly, people with disabilities. We know that they love messing around with that stuff. So it's nice to see that Medicare expansion is still in the bill. It's in there as of right now, and it looks like there are no planned changes to that provision. So remember, they want to include hearing, dental, and vision, as well as lower the eligibility age down to 60, right? So that's awesome that it's still in there. Anyway, I'll keep you posted with any new details. Thanks again for watching this. Subscribe down below. I'm going to get back to it, see what else I can find that's happened in the last. So I'll get back to it. I'll bring you the latest updates a little bit later. So subscribe down below so you don't miss any videos going forward, as there's going to be a lot of new information coming out over the coming days and probably the next week and a half or so as they set this thing up for the final votes. All right, enjoy your day. I'll catch you again later in the next video.